everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Batman 148. This is a really big issue for Batman. Let's go in and take a look at the creative team here before we get into this book. This book is written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Jorge Jimenez, colors by Tommy Morello, letters by Clayton Cowles. And here we are. It's finally Batman versus Batman in the Dark Prisons finale. It all comes down to this. We have Batman Failsafe, who is the Surinor Batman that has implanted his consciousness into the Failsafe robot, and then a whole new Bruce Wayne that has gone through so much in the past few issues. So in this issue, with Damian's life and the future of Gotham hanging in the balance, nothing can prepare either version of the Dark Knight for what is about to happen. Yeah, definitely a lot of the events that happen in this issue are just incredibly bonkers, out of control. I gotta say, Jorge Jimenez just continues to impress me more and more. Like, I love to see that. First of all, I think he draws a really interesting version of young Bruce Wayne. It very much definitely it feels and it looks like a younger Bruce Wayne. Sometimes, sometimes artists, they just don't really kind of grasp the essence of a younger version of a character. But I think Jorge Jimenez really nails that. So in this issue, we see uh, a little bit of a flashback to Bruce's early days, to some of his training. And then from there, we kind of move forward to this big confrontation, right? Failsafe has created his own Robin out of a clone of Bruce Wayne. He has Damian captured. So what can Batman and the Bat family do to free Gotham? Also, remember that Savage is currently the commissioner of the police. So there's definitely a lot of things that are weirdly in place, and everything here as we just kind of roll forward into Absolute Power, the DC event that's coming out later this summer. So let's take a look at the some of the preview art here. And here's some of the stuff I was talking about with Jorge Jimenez art. I mean, first of all, he draws a great, really a more slender version of what we see Bruce Wayne. Really, the notes, it really has a lot more of even more of a Nightwing type of physique, right? As a younger Bruce Wayne, he would be less bulky, more flexible. And here we see him training, going into the Batcave, discovering that, and then we flash back, and as we transition into the Batcave, we see Tim, making sure that Bruce is ready to go. Now, Jorge Jimenez doesn't really normally do these heavy inks to hide a lot of the features. I think one of the things that I like most about his art is that is very stylized and very clean lines. So I love that he's trying new things and evolving things just to make sure that it captures the mood and the tension of the panel. And here we see the Robins kind of facing off. I love that Damian is always working on something, always working an angle, and then of course Failsafe as this version of Batman can really see through all those things, whereas this clone that is still new and naive has a lot to learn. I also really like how slender, once again, Failsafe is, because there's nobody in there, right? There's no person in there. It's just a robot that has been kind of evolving himself or itself, I guess, throughout the series. So really cool. I really enjoy this. There's high stakes here, a lot of twists and turns, but we finally have a winner, at least for now. I don't know what the future holds for this for these characters, for Gotham, and even for the DC universe at large, but I am very excited to see where we're going. So hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Birds of Prey number 10. This is a new book from DC Comics. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into the book. This issue is written by Kelly Thompson with art by Robbie Rodriguez and Gavin Gaudry. On art, Jordi Valera on colors, Clayton Cowles on letters. So we do have two artists once again, because we are in this this other kind of dimension that requires like flashbacks and stuff. I think it's not a filling artist, it's more because it's the actually story actually calls for a different art style. So in this issue, the search for Barbara Gordon continues. It is Barda's world now, and we're all just living in it. as the birds search for Barbara inside the mysterious portal that keeps changing and also trying to kill them. Separating enemy from ally is getting harder than ever and more important than ever. So I think this issue is a lot of fun for a few reasons. First of all, this portal kind of changes the world around the birds of prey, depending on who goes through it first. And here we get to go into Barda's version of what a world could look like. Like it almost feels like it's a video game that's being reskinned for a specific purpose. We get to meet some of the characters and a little bit of the background of who is this enemy, who are some of these allies we're discovering. Kelly Thompson actually introduced a really interesting concept in here, and I hope that we see more of that in the future. I don't know how long, like how much we would see some of these characters, but let's take a look at some of the preview art. Now, I want to say this is Rodriguez's art, but I'm not 100% on that. I think Robbie Rodriguez and Gavin Gaudry have kind of similar styles that in my head that I can't really remember. I can't tell them apart. I don't know I don't know which artist is doing which pages, I guess. But yeah, I love that the new outfits, reminiscent of some of the classic designs. I loved even the meta commentary of like, uh, Vixen doesn't have an actual superhero costume, kind of. It's just kind of a plain clothes. And sometimes some of the designs for the costumes back then, specifically for some of the minor characters or newer characters, were just not all there with the details. So that's really, really fun stuff. And then, like I said, we have new allies. We got a little bit of backstory. I love the wolf. Just the design of the wolf looks super cool. And I just kind of really like how the characters themselves are at the forefront. They're in fully color, fully rendered, and all the backgrounds, because this is a fake world that's being created by this portal, feel kind of static and colorless. I think that's just such a bold choice by the team to highlight that. So, yeah, the mystery continues. We get really cool fight. I think the birds of prey. If in this arc, each of the issues we go through, and it's another one of the different birds of prey, like their world. That's just a really fun device. So hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for My Adventures with Superman #1, obviously based on the really cool, really amazing show My Adventures with Superman that airs on HBO Max and Cartoon Network. So let's take a look at the creative team here. This is written by Josie Campbell with art by Pablo Collar, colors by Nick Filardi, letters by Lucas Gattoni, and then we have some variant covers that you'll see at the end of the video. So stay tuned for that. This is The Ones Who Fell to Earth, Part 1. This happens in between seasons 1 and 2. So season 2 has kicked off now. We have a review for the first two, for the premiere on the channel. I'll make sure to link it in the description or maybe at the end of the video. So stay tuned for that. In this issue, Up and Away, a new comic book adventure set in the world of the hit Adult Swim animated series. Flying from the screen to the page, it's Superman. Picking up from the explosive end of season 1, Clark's about to spend Christmas alone in Metropolis, though he's feeling a bit down and out. A tip about a monster in the sewers sends Superman, Lois, and Jimmy into action. But what is this monster that can absorb anything it touches, and why is it here in Metropolis? As I mentioned, this is written by the head writer of My Adventures with Superman, Josie Campbell. So everything that you see here is definitely like in canon with the show, and it's all aligned from the same point of view. So it's really cool that DC is doing this kind of stuff. And one thing I look for in an adaptation from a show or a movie or something like that into comics, I don't need things to look exactly the same. I'm not looking for the art style. Like obviously the cover of the book definitely, it's definitely the same style that they use in the show, but I just want to make sure that the feeling of the characters feels right. And I think this comic book really does so. Now, it obviously helps a lot that Josie Campbell is a constant between the show and the comics. But I think they picked a great artist. I think Collar does a fantastic job capturing the feelings and this version of Superman who is a little bit younger, a little bit more naive, has a lot more to learn about himself, his powers, his world, the world in general. And I think, of course, introducing really fun things that could eventually kind of play out in the future. Now, we don't have a lot of preview art here; it's only a few pages, but I'll show you. First of all, I love this panel of just like a little Clark Kent, big eyes into the sky, like just soaring. And then we get, the juxtaposition of this like dark pod as this creature escapes into the sewers. We get a nice little montage of Superman recapping some of the events from season one and to figure out how we were moving forward, kind of juxtaposed with this creature still kind of, scrolling through the sewer. So I think this does a really fun job of setting up a mystery. If you've seen the show, you'll know that not everything is as straightforward as it seems. There's always layers to the mysteries here. So I appreciate that. So this is going to be really fun. I think if you're a fan of the show, you definitely want to check this out. And for those that haven't seen the show, I think this is a perfect book to give you a little taste of what was in the show. So I definitely recommend you check both out. I believe we have a review for season one on the channel as well. I'm pretty sure we do. So hello everyone, Danny here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for the next issue in the G.I. Joe saga. This is a miniseries, Scarlet #1 from Image Skybound. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This is written by Kelly Thompson with art by Marco Ferrari. We have Lee Lowridge on colors, Rose Wooten on letters, and a plethora of covers, which we'll see some at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Now, this is a miniseries connected in the Energon universe. Scarlet is a character in the G.I. Joe mythology. I'm not very familiar with Scarlet, so let's read a synopsis and then we'll talk about the actual issue. Shana Scarlet O'Hara is about to take on the most dangerous Black Ops missions of her career, infiltrating the mysterious rising power in Japan known as Clan Arashikage. Her one lead is her former partner Jinx, turned Arashikage enforcer. Now Scarlet must use a very particular set of skills to survive undercover and discover a shocking weapon that could change the balance of power on Earth. This is written by Kelly Thompson with art by Marco Ferrari, introducing some of the most anticipated characters in the Integer universe in ways you'll never expect. That part is definitely true. There's some really nice surprises at the end of the issue if you're a longtime G.I. Joe fan. Now, I'm not very familiar with Scarlet. I think she was in the films from the early aughts. I don't really remember the G.I. Joe films. So, but I am a big fan of Kelly Thompson. I love the Birds of Prey book that she's doing over at DC. I love her run on Black Widow and Captain Marvel. So, like, Kelly Thompson can write the hell out of a great female lead. All that combined with Marco Ferrari's beautiful art. If you read Frontiersman, you'll see that very clean lines, and I think all that stuff really works here. There's a lot of really interesting ways to set up the framing. There's a lot of different paneling and a lot of little details that you really have to pay attention to. I think it's very rewarding if you're a longtime G.I. Joe fan. You'll recognize a lot of the things that are happening. Now, I think Scarlet O'Hara is a fun character because truly the mission is what's important, right? But I think she also chooses to make sure that people are safe. I think we see that in the first issue here. And we also know that she has a complicated backstory. She's had complicated relationships, specifically with Jinx here. So, like, how does that all come into play? Ferrari does a really great thing that when we go back and do a little bit of flashback exposition, it changes. And I think Lee Lowridge just does like a wash of color to let you know that these are memories. These are things that happened before. So this issue is full of action, which is very dynamic, very cool. Like, I think it looks great. We'll look at the art in a second. It also has a little bit of mystery. How does this play into the larger world? And then what is Scarlet looking for ultimately? So let's take a look at some of the preview art here. And as I mentioned, I think Ferrari just works very clean, very not a lot of detailed, but I think in a way that it just shows you like what's important on the page. I love the parallel here of switching from the scuba outfit into the party outfit as you kind of go undercover. So obviously very important for the spy life. And then here, just a few pages of setup. And yeah, the coloring, I think it's great. It really lends to the mood. I love that there is a little bit of, when each of these panels have something in the foreground or something in the background, or just other characters that are not important to the mission, that are just kind of washed out in gray shadows. That really helps you highlight. It's almost as if you're seeing everything from Scarlett's point of view of like, what are the important things she's noticing. And then of course, just like I said, a lot of details. Specifically here we see the tattoo in Jinx's leg, which definitely means something. I don't know exactly. As you get through the issue, you learn more about that. But yeah, I think it's just really well done book, really inviting and welcoming to a new audience, but also I think rewarding for an existing audience of GI Joe fans. So I think this is a great team, and I look forward to this miniseries. I've yet to read a series in the Energon universe that I'm not super excited for. So this also continues that trend of like knocking it out of the park. So hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Alpha #1. This is a new book from IDW. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This is written, or this has two stories. So the first one's written by Jason Aaron, first time writing the Turtles, very exciting stuff, with art by Chris Burnham and colors by Brian Reber. We also have Monster Island. This is the second story written by Tom Waltz, with art by Gavin Smith, colors by Rhonda Pattinson, and letters and design by Nathan Wittick. So here we are, the new era of the Ninja Turtles, and I'm very excited. I'm a big fan of Jason Aaron, and I've been looking forward to this. Also, my boy Donatello is at the front of the cover, so like, how could this go wrong in any way? So let's talk about it. Let's get into it. What's the world like without the TMNT? Since their time-spanning victory over Armagon, the Turtles have started to pursue other interests, leaving a void in New York among humans and mutants alike. This special issue explores the effects of this change has on those connected to the brothers, from Old Hub to Jenica, across the five boroughs, and all the way through Mutant Island. It is hard to tell how important someone is until they're gone, and who better writes such story other than Tom Waltz? So that is the Monster Island part. We also have our first glimpse as to what is to come in the special prequel to the new TMNT #1, written by superstar scribe Jason Aaron, and will be drawn in this case by White Heart artist Chris Burnham. Donatello has had a hard time since he came back from the future, and he's found himself in an unexpected place. Yeah, this is interesting. So I won't go too much into detail into the second story. I think that's a lot more fun to explore. But Tom Waltz has been doing our, Turtles for a long time, and I don't have any preview of that, but it's really interesting. It's really fun. I really enjoyed just diving back into the world of the Turtles. I think that's really cool. I'm looking to see here. I think I have, yeah, I got the main cover, so I can show you that here, and I can give you a little preview here, even though I don't have any actual pages to talk about. But specifically, like this void, like it's very good stuff. Like, you know, the team knows what they're doing with this with this backup story, Monster Island. So I'm not too familiar with the old Hop character, so that was interesting to explore. But let's talk about the Long Way from Home story. This is the prelude to the #1 issue. What the hell? It is pretty dark. Like, the story revolves around this one dude that goes into kind of like a zoo that has a bunch of creatures for them to fight and maybe hunt. And it ends up picking. We see that, a lot of these are like little mutants, but one of them happens to be Donatello, who seems to be having trouble with his memory. So that's really, really interesting. I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know where they're going to go from here, but let's pull up some of the preview art. Chris Burnham is a fantastic artist, like just great work. Like, go check out Batman Inc. Chris Burnham's stuff with Batman Inc. Along with Grant Morrison, killer stuff. But here we see, like, you see this guy coming in to like fight these monsters or whatever in this just gross looking like kind of a zoo dungeon. And yeah, as you can see here, but the guy picks Donatello to fight. And also, first of all, what a dumb thing. What would you pick? What would you pick? The one that kind of looks like a ninja. But yeah, it's really crazy. I don't know what happened before this, so I don't know why Donatello is here in this case, and I think that's part of the mystery. But yeah, just seeing him pick up the bow or a staff that just happens to be laying around, taking care of this guy. And but Donatello still like captured. Jason Aaron still captures the core of him. There's a moment here where I'm like, this is it. This is my boy. So yeah, it's really interesting. I don't know where we're going with this, but I'm very excited for more Ninja Turtles. So if you have read this, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.